Your skills are worthless, but your context is valuable.
Yeah, just a really interesting observation I've had from observing some of the people that have made huge pivots in their life, but also my own experience of being a social media marketing CEO for 10 years. And then upon leaving that business where I sold, I did marketing for big fashion brands and big consumer electronics brands. 6 months to a year after I left there, I moved my skill set to the biotech industry because one of my friends built one of the biggest psychedelics companies in the world. And my skill set of social media and marketing was in such low supply in that industry that the offer he made me to join his business was outstanding. And I often think about, we think the way to get ahead in life is to get promotions or to ask our boss for a pay rise. But if you think about your core skill set and the market in which you're selling your skill set, is it in low supply in that market? And is the upside for the person that is hiring me tremendous? You can get paid so much more. They offered me $8 million in options for 9 months of work. There's no fast fashion brand that would have offered me that because the return for the fast fashion brand would have been 20,000 more dresses sold. In the biotech industry, it was moving that IPO price from potentially 1 billion to 3 billion. So they could offer 8 million as a flash in the pan. One of my best friends spent a long time in Manchester designing nightclub flyers, getting paid 50 quid, 100 pounds per flyer.
I probably employed him at
You
some
probably
point.
did. Yeah. And I remember in COVID being in his house and the guy was like really down out. He was like, something to change in my life. I'm 35 now. I'm still doing the same old thing. And his talent, objectively, his talent for design, incredible. But he was selling that skill of design in the wrong market. Nightclub flyers, where you might get a couple more people coming through the door, and in an industry where it was abundant in terms of supply of that skill. So we made this big wall in his house and we put up a few things. Where is your skill set going to be in the least supply? And where is this luxury design style you have going to be in the highest demand? And also looking at industries that were coming into shore where his design skills could yield the greatest returns. Should be quite obvious as I say this. Dubai and NFTs. Artists suddenly came into fashion. The Web3 community moved to Dubai. So he picked up his life from Manchester 2 years ago and he moved to Dubai. And this guy is making millions now, selling the exact same skill to a different market where it's in low supply, but it's yielding a greater return for those that hire him. And I went through in my book all the different industries from writing to acting to creative pursuits, where if you just moved yourself from a different market, from the market you're on to a different market, you'd yield the greatest return. And lastly, where I noticed this most is when our company went public, we went on a fairly small, redundant German stock exchange. And in those rooms in Frankfurt, when I sat with Barclays and a variety of different banks, the thing they kept on saying is if we uplist over to the NASDAQ, that the company will both be worth 3 times more. And I remember thinking to myself, so the same business moved to a different stock market, the market cap would multiply by 3. That's kind of a metaphor for this idea that maybe your skill set is currently existing on an unlucrative and unlucrative market. And all you need to do is find the market where it's in lowest supply and it yields the greatest return for those that need it. And honestly, biotech is one of them.
Well, I mean, since moving to America, it's the first time that I've ever been in another country where I've spoken the language, but I've also somehow been considered exotic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing. I'm the same person. They can understand me. Like, going or somewhere, you're different. You're different. But where you speak the same language, you're the same, but somehow still exotic. Being British is being called exotic, right? But apparently,
and you could be doing this exact same thing in the Salford radio station to 77 listeners. And there's so many the exact same thing, the exact same podcast, the exact same talent that you have, but in the wrong market, where the economics of the business that you're applying your skill set in aren't there to reap the greatest returns. And the ceiling, because of the constraints of radio and the time constraints, just aren't there to get the best out of your talent and the value from your talent. So I think it's just a different lens to look through because so many want a nicer house or a faster car. And they're thinking, okay, so I work here for 3 years and I'll get a promotion and I'll get there. But there's another lens to look through, which is my core skill set. What is it? And where can I get the greatest return for it? And where is it in the least supply? It's a different frame to think through, but it's life-changing for the right people. I've been thinking, it's been creeping into my mind over the last couple of weeks that like, maybe the person I think I am, as we kind of said earlier, is not actually who I am. And it's just a bunch of beliefs that I'm living by, like disciples on the left and right do. And like, how do I unpack all of that and find out who I can be and who I really am? What would I have to do? What's the journey I'd have to go on? So
This is why...
We're all deluded. We're all deluded. So fundamentally, you know?
We both speak about this a good bit, I think. And I wonder whether part of it's because we're from the UK. And for the American people that are listening, it might not make quite as much sense. Although if you're from some small town in the Midwest, maybe it does. There is such a strong pull for people to conform in the UK. Perfect example, look at the vaccination rates. I think it's like 93, 94% of people in the UK got their first dose. It's like sort of high 80s second, and then like low 80s third, right? I think America maybe scraped the bottom of the dick of 50 or 60 for the first dose, right? But who are the Americans in the room? They're a nation of people who said, yeah, fuck it, I'll get on that boat, right? The British people, I don't know. Maybe there's genetic predisposition. Maybe it's cultural imposition, probably a part of both. But I certainly see in the UK a fear of breaking out and very, very strong criticism when people do. And if I could if I could export from life in the US and import to the world of the UK, one thing, it would be a lack of cynicism. Like it would be less cynicism around people doing different things, because I think that it's stifling happiness, flourishing, innovation, people leading a life that's different to the one that they would do, being more experimental, being more motivated. Yeah, I really wish that I could like sprinkle a little bit of that motivation.
You're not
dust.
the first Brit that's to the LA that works, especially in the creative industries, that has said that to me. You're not the second, you're not the third, you're not the fourth, you're not the fifth. So I hear it all the time. And you hear it even when you're thinking about innovation, and we even see it on the London stock market now. The public company CEOs that I know that flirted on the stock market are just being destroyed. Their like personal character is being destroyed, and the stocks are in the bin. You think about some of the big unicorns we've had from the UK. Being the founders of those is just an awful experience. If they were in the US, they would be applauded and clapped and on the front cover of, you know, whatever.
Fuck, I wish that we could change that.
They're torn to pieces here.
Lewis Capaldi writes this first album, songs that he was singing since 2017 when he was playing them in working men's pubs all around the northeast of Scotland. Then he blows up, trillion, bazillion streams, and he's asked to write a second album during COVID. WME or CAA or whoever his recording company are, how's the coming along? And he's feeling this pressure, and he develops this tick because he's under all of this anxiety. And he's noticing he has stayed the same, right? He is still the same person that he was from before. And he's noticing the world treating him in a different way. And he's scared, and he's uncertain about his own abilities and about what the world wants from him. And he can't work out why other people are treating him differently. It's this fucking one line in the middle of the documentary. He says, fame doesn't change you, just changes everybody around you.